Happy New Year. Shinko and I saw this poem in a book called The Chinese Horoscope. And as we looked at it, we altered it to make it a Buddhist poem. Okay. I emailed the publisher, asked them, where did you get the source? Because this is like the summation of the entire book. But they never replied. So anyway, it's really a beautiful poem. This is the year of the rabbit. Please don't make any uh, judgment on a rabbit. Okay, and it's the water year. So this is a different year than the fire year, wood year, etc. Okay, I am the rhythm of the universe. In my unborn silence, I hear the song of the spirit. I am not hindered by negativity. I subdue by my nature to transform. I view my world in subtle colors. I am in accord with inner peace. I am the rabbit. Isn't that beautiful? Unknown ancestor refined by me and Shinko. There's so much to say, and actually, I was very impressed with the amount of people here today. Usually, there's not so many people, and I think what Suzuki Roshi used to say, the fact you got up early, you woke up, and this means you can wake up. It's not just in Zen, it says you have to wake up to your delusions, but you can wake up from a bad dream, or you can wake up from your conditioned life. It means you can wake up. It's universal. It's within ourselves. So, yeah, he said, and the most profound thing is that he gave this talk in the 60s at Marion Derby's house in Los Altos. And he said, it's a very profound thing that you wake up early and you got up and you sat in this unborn silence, which is the most valuable thing in the entire universe. It is the universe, but we don't know it. We have yet to realize it. Okay? So this rabbit, this water rabbit, is the rhythm of the universe. And the universe is everything and every non-thing. It's beyond our thinking. The universe includes everything. In fact, our practice, I don't want to use the word practice, our training. I believe, and I think the word practice has been overused, but training, we were in training. We in Zen, we train the conditioned mind to become unconditioned because the conditioned mind is very narrow. It has a beginning and end. Your conditioned mind has a beginning and end. Isn't that true? But the unconditioned mind has no beginning and no end. That's the universe. Our thinking will fail us. Our computers, our instruments will fail us when it comes to wisdom and compassion. There's no wisdom and compassion there. There's facts, belief systems that fool us over and over and over again. And the universe, I actually Last year I wrote something about the sutras, and the sutras is what we chant, and probably seem like very far away from us, but actually they are sutras written by actual people who have experienced life in its fullest in their lifetime. And they're trying to transmit this to us because we also have the same essence. We also have the same mother. Uh, Coco said once to me that dogs don't fight over food because they have the same mother. If they know they have the same mother, they do not fight over food. I mean, these are dogs. They know much more deeper than we do because we have the same mother. We are out of the universe. We came out of the universe. And this is actually uh, written down from the Shobogenzo Dogen's message on sutras, that we chant every day. But the sutras is the same as the universe. It's the principles of the universe. It's not man-made. It can be expressed and pointed out to, but yet you have to realize it. You already have it. That's why you can't realize it, because you're looking for it. But when you do nothing, this is very difficult because it takes training. When you do nothing, meaning non-arising, this is non-arising. Just resting in yourself without thinking. This is non-arising. But yet, you actually have already done it. That's why in this silence, it's not just a voidness, but there's non-arising. Nothing is happening because you're not engaged in the conditioned mind. Is that understood? Huh? It's the opposite of what you learn in school. You learn to learn, you learn to memorize, you learn to recite, you learn to think, you learn to reflect, and you learn to know something. But reality is none of those. The ultimate reality is prior to those things, prior to our conditioning. So in the meditation practice, you empty out all the stuff that you've been conditioned. It's better than sleeping. Okay, so I just read just a little bit about the sutras. It's the same. What is meant by sutras is the entire universe. There is no space nor time that are not sutras. They are the words and letters of ultimate reality and the words and letters of worldly truth. Absolute and conventional. Ultimate truth, worldly truth. There are two truths. They employ the language of gods and the language of human beings. They use the words and letters of beasts, those of asuras, demons, those of hundreds of grasses and thousands of trees. For this reason, the long and the short, the square and the round, the blue and the yellow, and the red and white, all of which marshal on in a dignified way throughout the universe in the 10 directions, are undeniable. The sutra words and letters and faces. These words and letters are all regarded as the instruments of the great way and the scriptures of Buddha Dharma. Anyway, but back to the poem. Uh, so unborn silence means non-arising. You train yourself that you don't need to think. You can rest in your essence. That's without thought. Try it. It's difficult. It takes training. And you have to train your breath, your mind, and your body. But it's the most precious thing in the universe. The most precious thing you could do in your lifetime. Not just for yourself, but for all the people and all the seemingly dead objects around you that which are alive, that give us living spirit. Non-arising means that your distinction between subject and object is no more. You are me, I am you, and then you are you, and I am I. That's the formula. So just briefly, regular people, uh, living beings. When I say living beings, it means they suffer because they're caught in the duality of good and bad, right and wrong, dark and light, subject and object. And because we don't understand that, our whole world, humanity continues to suffer. And in Zazen, what makes the suffering is thinking. I'm not saying thinking is bad, but when you meditate, no thinking. So what causes it is the thinking of the duality, the dichotomy, the separation, the distinction. And therefore, we have that separation. Uh, living beings have that separation. They don't see the mother. They see the differences. We are overwhelmed by the differences in the world. Right? It's threatening. We have to make them like us. Okay. So and so because he or she the rabbit, unborn silence, that's what it means, unborn. That's a great word, isn't it? Bunky Roshi brought it up. Unborn, meaning there's no beginning and there's no end. And so because he or she, the rabbit, is resting, she hears the song of the spirit of the whole universe. And so she becomes not hindered by the opposites, the dichotomies that I just mentioned. Not hindered because we've separated them, we've created them. They are two, but when they're not hindered, they are one. And she says, I am not hindered by negativity or duality. I subdue by my nature. My nature is empty cognizance, full of knowing. That's my true nature, my true self is empty cognizance, full of knowing and interrelated to all things in the entire universe. I subdue, that's my nature, that's your nature. But you don't know it yet. It's like walking around with a diamond in your pocket and you're looking for the diamond outside of yourself. It's all here. Okay? So that's why he or she can subdue by her nature to transform the dualities, which is negativity. I view my world in subtle colors, profound colors. They're vivid. It's the beginning of the year. It's not the old year, it's the new year. You see things differently, not the same way you saw the last moment, because the last moment means the last moment, which is conditioned by the last moment and the previous moment. But yeah, I have to tell you a little story. I had a procedure done just yesterday, and it was interesting because I had to prepare for the procedure, and it was an endoscopy. Okay, so I had to not eat, and I like to eat. I had to drink 1 gallon of this chemical stuff every 15 minutes to 30 minutes and finish it in 2 hours. Half a gallon one day, half a gallon next day. And I told the attendant, I said, you should write in the instruction, you must sit on the toilet and drink it because you can, I mean, they should tell the patient, right, what's actually going to happen. And then you would save a lot of patients' trouble. But it's also interesting in that very mishap or that very situation, which can be a negative situation, you apply the Dharma. That you apply the teaching. That's what people don't do. You apply the teaching, what you have read, what you have digested, to that situation, and it doesn't become overwhelming. In fact, you can feel comfortable in going. So Suzuki Roshi said that form is emptiness, right? Emptiness, emptiness is form. This second one is more difficult. You realize the emptiness of your nature in that negative situation, which we're trying to get away from. Everyone is doing that. You want to get away from the negative situation or the difficulty, but to apply emptiness, to see the empty cognizance full of knowing in the negative situation. Because we're trying to get away from painful situations. We're trying to get away from Earth. It might be more peaceful of it, but they'll find the same thing up there as down here. You want to get, I mean, these UFOs that are appearing, they don't want to come here because the world is in such a bad situation. I'm embarrassed for them. But anyway, so then after the diet or the cleansing, okay, the purification, I finally Nyoze takes me to the Kaiser, and what happens in the procedure? No perfume, right? No perfume, no valuables, because someone might steal it, right? It happens. And and you have to take off all your clothes, everything, and you put it in this plastic bag. There goes my identity, right? And they put everything underneath the gurney so no one can steal it. And then they slowly, and the thing is, uh, I recognized the person, Tracy, because she was the one that answered the phone I made an appointment with. This is our everyday life, and I said, gee, it's nice to see you, Tracy, because I talked to you on the telephone. So there was a kind of relationship. But all of a sudden, the relationship was changed. She got called for another operation, and these two other women that were more heavy set, Brianna. They were both Briannas, two B's. And I looked at them and I said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, nice meeting you, but you are different." And then so they take you into the room, and and I gave the doctor Ami Hushani the poem. I didn't expect him to read it, but as he was standing up there, he started to read it. Then uh, he couldn't read some of it, so he brought it over to me, and I didn't have my glasses, so he gave me his glasses. This is in the procedure room, and actually there were 3 people, but we became a sangha because we depend on each other. I mean, if this procedure doesn't go, I mean, I could die. I mean, that's a possibility. You know, we became a tight sangha, and so he asked me to read the poem. So I read the poem, and actually, I felt like just like right here, right now. There's 3 people in the room. I felt that close, that much accord, and I read the poem. And in fact, I even put my finger up for some reason. That why did I put my finger up like this? Because it's true. It's true, and they all listened, and then that began the procedure. It's interesting how, I mean, the Dharma is everywhere. If it's with you, it'll be everywhere. This is everyday situation. And the doctor on me, he said that all these years have been very bad, and that this poem gives me a little hope. Okay, so the beginning is very important. You want to say something?
Well, I think I was. I mean, a lot of it has to do with. I think that poem. Like, if you put that poem, I. That's what struck me in that poem.
Yeah.
Let me see. And maybe even when Roshi put up his finger, you could say that maybe beginner's mind or coming back to your life as it is. That's what happened to Shakyamuni Buddha when the Buddha was enlightened, and when the Buddha saw the morning star, the Buddha said, I actually am the rhythm of the universe.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
I hear the song of the spirit. I am not hindered by negativity. I subdue by my nature to transform. I view my world in subtle colors. I am in accord with the universe. So it's a very interesting thing. What also it the Buddha is the rabbit. The rabbit is you. Also, the Buddha, you are the camera. When you say I think this is really important. It has to do with coming back to your original nature, in which we cannot understand, and we try to learn it up here by studying it. But in Buddhism, we're not studying something outside of ourselves. Um, it's actually beyond the knowing of our conditioned mind. But when we say I, which is also your conditioned I, but at the same time, the I, when you come back, um, uh, Suzuki Roshi calls it a beginner's mind,
Yeah.
coming back to the moment that actually is limitless. And so um, it's a really it's really deep and really subtle. But when we sit zazen without the conditioned thinking of who we are, and we actually let go, then we are I, or we are the rabbit. We are actually the new moment. You would say the new moment. Uh, Suzuki Roshi talks about, beginner's mind, but beginner has to do with um, a returning to your source, or the limit, the sourceless source that is beyond this thinking mind. And so when when you say I, then I am the garbage man dumping out all the trash. I am the school teacher giving lessons in the elementary school. So I mean, this is a big proclamation to come back to your life as it is. But it's a beginner's mind in which uh, I think in our conditioned way of thinking, we think we have to study this, or even enlightenment, something that's far beyond us, and it's so complex. But it's everything that you do. So when I take out the trash, then I become the rabbit. I become the camera, I become Douglas, I become the entire universe. And then that's when everything is actually in accordance. I think the poem says, in accordance, the subtle colors, the subtlety of your life becomes awakened, you know. But it's a wonderful poem, but those are the things that I thought of when you were reading it. But
Yeah, the beginner's mind is a very interesting two words. We don't want to have beginner's mind. We want to know how to do everything. But the beginner's mind is like the first time. The first time you do something, you can't. You have no experience in that moment, and also you have no thinking process going on in that moment, which keeps us in the beginning and end. It keeps us in the conditioned world. It keeps us in our ego. Beginner's mind is the best mind you could have, even when you're old. We lose the beginner's mind. We've lost it. We've lost our nature, and things become conditioned and boring. And when we die with that conditioned mind. You know? Yeah.
Question.
To
In
know.
relation to that, I wanted to ask you, you used to say, first retreat, best retreat. I wonder if every retreat could be the first retreat.
yeah,
Is it possible?
It's possible.
Yeah.
If but you just can't think it's possible. You have to train. You have to train your breath in accord with your mind, in accord with your body. Those three things.
But I don't think you can say, oh, this is my first retreat. Then that's like, yeah, then that's a mark. But what you do is you be there wholeheartedly, 100%. And it's not has to do nothing with zazen, not retreat, but your life, what you do in your life. Closing the door, waking up in bed, shutting off the alarm clock, making coffee, all that is actually, the retreat is endless. And so to come back to that is great. But the great thing is that we have infinite amount of chances to do it over and over again. So you can't lose, in a sense. but then at the same time, it is kind of a reprogramming our conditioned mind, then to uh, aim in this way, which is a beginner's. It's a letting go of. So in everything that we do over and over again, then we become conditioned expert, and then we know how to do it, and then our vision gets more narrow and narrow, and we get expert at it, and then it actually becomes closed. But as we do it, the more times we do it, the more we should actually let go. So it's keeping the vibrancy of life actually in whatever we do over and over again. Going to the restroom, opening the door of your house for 30 years. I mean, how do you do that? So, but it's the practice or this reconditioning, reprogramming or letting go. It's right in front of us how we hold things. When we hold things or when we open the door and when we're the door, where there's no thinking there, then that's a beginner's mind. And anything can happen. Maybe you open the door, the handle will fall off. Anyways.
Anyone else like that?
Yeah, so the year of the rabbit is like your year.
Yeah.
You know, the year of the rabbit or this moment is actually your moment, and there's no there's no greater peace than actually to start out like that. But it's not, of course, everyone knows it's not the new year, but it's the new you. You know, and that makes peace in the world, is the new you. How you drink your coffee, how you drive in traffic, you know, how you're with your kids, how you sit zazen, you know, how you clean the windows. But then it's the new you, and it cannot be any bigger. So the rabbit is big. The rabbit is actually everything that you that you face. You know, the rabbit's the conditioned self. The rabbit's your karma. But at the same time, when we meet the rabbit like that and hug the rabbit, then it becomes in accordance with everything, and it becomes transformed into something that's new and special. And then we have a new year, and then we have a new self, and then we have new life and new universe.
Is the poem, will it be on the website?
Pardon me?
Will the poem be on the website? Like,
We have it in the store. Yeah, we
Like-
sell it in the store.
I'd like to share
I gave a
my
whole
son
bunch
came
out.
home with a
Huh?
rabbit spontaneously
yeah.
a couple days ago.
But pardon me?
Hmm?
Can you say, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I want to share with my son
Yeah.
because he spontaneously came home with a rabbit.
Oh,
He
yeah.
became rabbit.
He came home with
He
a rabbit.
brought home
Here's
a
a
rabbit.
rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
Brought a rabbit
Oh,
home.
look.
It's now living in the house.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. What's your son's name?
Hudson.
Great.
So this not knowing, could you say something?
I can't hear.
This not knowing, could you say something more about?
This not knowing, can you say something more about that?
You know, not knowing, it's like your thinking mind will reach a dead end, and it can only go so far. Why is that? If the thinking mind was true, it could keep on going, but it'll just come to a dead end somewhere. And what's the dead end for you? Huh? But for us, the thinking mind goes to the thinking mind isn't there. Is that possible? I mean, you're still alive? Well, that's possible. Definitely possible. or the Buddha Dharma will have died a long time ago. So the thinking mind rests. You're giving it a break. It's overused. It's our conditioning that's producing our bondage to our ego, to our separation with everything. As long as we have that separation, it uh, it verifies the permanency of everything. But we're not permanent. So what was it? Not knowing, not knowing.
Yeah.
Not knowing it means you're going into a deeper. Oh, the small mind and big mind. Okay, the small mind is what humanity has, but they don't know that there's a big mind within each person, and that's the freedom. That's the greatest thing you could ever achieve for yourself, for the world, for all the objects of the world.
Or you could say there is a knowing, there is a knowing, but this knowing, what brought us all here. So what is that? So you could say that there is a knowing, but when we sit and when you let go, then this knowing actually that is before you start a beginner's mind. A beginner's mind is a knowing. So also, if you talk about not knowing, then we become, oh, then there is a knowing, or if there's a knowing, then there's a not knowing. But the not knowing uh, uh, in beginner's mind is actually, it's a deep knowing in which it's actually limitless, and it's so big. Then there is actually a not knowing, and then there is a knowing. So what brought you here is, I think, an interesting thing that we cannot you cannot put any words to, but there's something that brought us here, and then what is it? And then so we have to, you would say, investigate actually a whole lifetime of what that is.
Thank you for the rain. Okay.